All right. Diokomenoi, being persecuted. This is a present tense, customary present for what is normally occurs to those who are in gate 7, momentum testing. And here specifically Paul and his team who are under a specific category of suffering to demonstrate to those who are watching the superiority beyond greatness, beyond comparison of God's power, the omnipotence of God, delegated inside the divine power sphere. Being persecuted, where are we? Yes, verse 9, being persecuted, and then a strong contrast. The strongest conjunction of contrast, Allah. And then the strongest negative, not, but not. Being persecuted, but not. And this is abandoned. God has already told us that he's not going to abandon us. In Hebrews chapter 13, verse 6 and 7, he says, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. And that verse is talking about financial stuff, about logistical grace, about do not lust money, do not steal, do not worry about money. He's going to provide everything necessary for you to remain alive. And so that's one way of applying his promise of not ever abandoning us. Here, he's using this. He's never abandons us in the sense that he protects us from people. If you want to read anything about how God is always there protecting you against people, your enemies, you can always go back to the Psalms. King David constantly struggled with this, and he talked about a lot about his enemies and how God leads you to victory and provides a banquet and laughs at the enemies, etc. All these things. It was a great deal with David. So you're going to suffer persecutions, and might be to the point of death, close to death. It might be just persecutions in the sense of pestering you, badgering you, something that gives you headaches and provides a lot of inner suffering. And these are very heavy as well. When I used to work for, back in the days, for a medical transportation company, and I used to transport a lot of these folks who became injured at the job place. And a lot of the problems that they had were also psychological, and it had to do with inside pressure, with the boss making the life impossible to that person, or co-workers under the protection of the boss making the life impossible to that person. And so a lot of that inside pressure can be also very very detrimental to a person's well-being, mental well-being. So yeah, do not shun this. It is heavy pressure if you are being persecuted in terms of pestering, badgering you, just to make your life impossible, to make you unhappy. It is heavy, and it can make you crack, by the way. So, yes. It's Diokomenoi. You're being persecuted but not abandoned. Lepomen. Lepo is a verb that means to leave something. Katalepo means to leave something, leave a course of action and carry on another one. Katalepo means to abandon. So we are not abandoned by God. God comes in at the right time, every single time. Now he can come in the last second to make something over dramatic, or he can come in just in regular timing, always one step ahead of us, just providing. Before you know it, many times he's already protecting you from someone who's already been scheming. They probably were scheming already throughout the whole day, and little do you know that the whole time God was frustrating their plans the whole time. And there you are walking, a happy camper, not knowing that God this whole time was protecting you and frustrating this plan and frustrating that plan, so that those people who are your enemies do not get away with their plan, with their scheme. And so, yes, we have these participles. These are circumstantial participles, being persecuted but not abandoned. So the present tense is also customary present, just as it's customary that you are persecuted. Is also customary that you're going to be rescued. You're going to be snatched out right in time. You're going to be protected by that wall of fire. You're going to be protected by God's logistical grace, for his logistical grace does provide protection and everything necessary for you to remain alive in the devil's world. The passive voice, Paul and his team receives the action of the verb. Passive voice also applies to us, anyone who's in gate 7, momentum testing and beyond. You're going to be rescued, and it's going to become so evident And obviously, all these things are going to make you fall in love more with God. And it's going to add to your personal sense of destiny, personal love for God the Father, and occupation with Christ. So, we are persecuted, but not abandoned. Let me just go on and see how I got the translation. We are persecuted, but not abandoned. Good. So, obviously, you feel the persecutions. This deals with people. And so, obviously, here's problem-solving device number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So, you have personal love for God the Father, you have a personal sense of destiny, but because this deals with people, here is impersonal love towards all mankind. Here comes the ballistic missile, and impersonal love for all mankind, boom, counters it. And if it does hit, here you are, you're still countering. Meanwhile, because people deals with circumstances as well, it deals with job places, so you also apply the faith rest technique. And so here comes another missile, faith rest technique, boom. And so you counter it. You apply impersonal love towards people, and you apply faith rest towards circumstances. And you're just holding your ground. Here's the Dioko, persecution. And you just continue holding your ground. Continue until God comes, the omnipotence of God, and delivers you from whatever situation. This is one of those matters, those situations of waiting, and just holding your ground. Just as at the Battle of the Bulge, when the Nazis said, you better surrender. And what did the general say? Nuts. I wasn't a general, I forgot his name, sorry about that. He deserves much more respect than this. The other were just holding the ground. And this is what you do, hold your ground until God says, all right. If he comes and rescues you in a situation where you have to run away, then run away. If he just rescues you in a situation where you just continue remaining there, you just held your ground, and everyone just takes off already, disillusioned and disenchanted, and whatever it is, then you remain there. Whatever it is, God is going to protect you. Don't get scared. You're good. You have God with you, and he's going to demonstrate to you that there's nothing to be scared of. Now, so we are persecuted but not abandoned. And now look, katabalomenoi, and this is struck down. We are struck down. This is the present passive participle of katabalo. This literally means to be stoned. You know, rocks being thrown at you. This is a reference to Paul's incident in Lystra. We'll go over that right now. So yeah, struck down. It's going to happen. It can happen that someone will make contact with you, physical contact. There are many ways that physical contact can be applied to you. Sometimes you're not going to like it. Many times you're not going to like it, obviously, but it's time to apply doctrine at that situation. It could be painful, physically painful, or it could be mentally painful. Just any sort of body contact is already annoying enough, whether it's in a soft way to, with bad intentions, sexual intentions many times, or if it's physical to administer physical pain. Here it specifically is talking about struck down. Paul was struck down. In fact, he was killed in Lystra in Acts chapter 14. We'll go over that right now, like I said. Present tense, customary present. This is for Paul and his team. Something that habitually occurred to them. This was a non-stop thing. Paul suffered every day. I don't think there's any man that suffered as much except the Lord Jesus Christ, as much as Paul did. And I don't think we're gonna go through that as much as he did. But this was for a purpose, as we're gonna see in verse 12, 13, and 14. The passive voice, Paul receives the action of the verb, Paul and his team, and this is the participle. This is circumstantial participle. And we are struck down, and then the contrast, but not. The strongest contrast, but, and then the strongest negation, not. We are not what? Destroyed, killed. So here is contact. Here's physical contact by way of being stoned or being hit. And so obviously you apply impersonal love to the person who's striking you down. You apply faith, rest, technique to whatever circumstance that you find yourself, and you are hit, and you stand your ground. You stand your ground, and God, you just wait until God comes and delivers you, until God removes these people from your face, or if He requires you to run away, you run away. The Lord Jesus Christ slipped and ran away and hidden in a multitude of people because it was not His time yet. Sometimes you are also required to slip and run away in the multitude of people. If it's one of those situations where you just have to remain there, well, God is going to protect you. He's going to give you enough power for the situation, enough power to withstand the physical pain, whatever it is. But He will provide. He's always faithful. Don't get scared. You're good. Why are you a coward? That's what the Lord Jesus said in Matthew chapter 8 when He told the disciples, why are you cowards? Why are you pusillanimous? Well, here I am telling you, why are you a coward? Apply doctrine. You have the omnipotence of God here. The beyond comparisonness of power. So we are struck down, but not destroyed. Apolumenoi can be lost, destroyed, perish. Here destroyed is taught in terms of physical, dying physically. And let's look at Paul's incident in Iconium and Lystra. This is Acts chapter 14. Acts. In fact, we're going to talk about this in chapter 12, by the way. So yes, here we find ourselves in. So first, they're in Antioch, and they had a lot of persecutions, but they slipped away. And later on, they went to Iconium. This is all in Asia Minor. At Iconium, Paul and Barnabas went as usual to the Jewish synagogue. They spoke in Jewish synagogues all the way. And many of them believed. They spoke boldly the gospel message. And so there were those who believed in Him, and many of them who were against Him. And many Jews were for them, and many other Jews were against them. There was a plot afoot among both Gentiles and Jews together with their leaders. So now the antagonists, to mistreat them and stone them. They wanted to kill them. By the way, if you were going to get stoned, you were going to get killed. But they found out about it and fled to the Lycaonian cities of Lystra and Derbe and the surrounding countries. So this is second deliverance. In the first deliverance, they found about it, they fled. And this one, they found out about it in Iconium, and they fled as well. But then Lystra came about, and so they healed people, they shared the gospel, and all those people from the other previous cities in Antioch and in Iconium, they followed them all the way to Lystra. And in whatever place they went, they stopped in, they gathered more people against Paul, and more people, with the result that they had now a big multitude against them. Okay. And so, what happened? Let's read right here. So even with these words, they had difficulty keeping. Then some Jews, there's some Jews came from Antioch and Iconium, the previous cities, and won the crowd over. They stoned Paul, dragged him outside the city, concluding he was dead. And he was dead. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 tells us that he was dead. He was absent from the body, and he was in the third heaven, the abode of God. And he heard and saw doctrines that he was not allowed to tell in this earth. But he was brought back, concluding he was dead. But after the disciples had gathered around him, he got up and went back into the city. The next day he and Barnabas left for Derbe. He just continued. He was resuscitated. And so even though he died physically, to Paul, this means that he was still not destroyed. Where are we? We are struck down, but not destroyed. We do not die physically. He was resuscitated, and this was great for him. And so yes, this is Paul. Then he went back, he went to Antioch, and then later on he decided to go back to the same cities in his second missionary journey, here back to Lystra, back to Iconium, to check on the brothers and the new converts. And so this is the attitude that they had. Even though they were suffering persecution, they were always delivered. And if they got stoned, well, guess what? He was resuscitated. And this only strengthened the faith of all those who were watching him.